everyone, welcome to this update video. I really do hope that you're doing really amazing, and we're going to be taking a look at what is going on across the North Atlantic, focus being on the Caribbean as per usual. And I do apologize if I sound a little bit weird in this video. I'm actually having the flu right now, but let's get straight into the details. So we're going to be looking at the typical weather update, but also a seismic update as well. So we're going to kickstart with that. So there have been a couple of earthquakes across the Caribbean region, nothing really out of the norm. We typically experience several earthquakes daily in different parts of the region. In some areas, for example, within the vicinity of the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, would be a bit more active compared to others. And over the past 24 hours, the most significant shaking within the Caribbean was actually in the southwestern Caribbean Sea, just south of the island of San Andreas, which is a Colombian island. And that earthquake was of magnitude 5.4, and it was a pretty shallow earthquake at the depth of only 10 kilometers. So thankfully that happened offshore, and an earthquake like that would be enough to cause a significant jolt. So maybe in the early morning hours, residents on San Andreas or even nearby Central American territories such as Costa Rica or Nicaragua may have felt a brief jolt. But again, this wasn't a major earthquake. It's pretty much on the moderate side. And then, of course, there were a couple others in the region, a couple of earthquakes, mostly magnitude 3 or weaker, within the vicinity of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and even in the vicinity of Venezuela, Grenada, and Trinidad. There's been a few shakens there as well. Nothing crazy. And also near the Cayman Islands late last night, there was an estimated magnitude of 4.9 shaken. So that's just offshore Grand Cayman. You can let me know if you felt that shaking there. But in terms of weather activity, let's return to this satellite imagery. And here we can see that airflow pressure churning offshore the U.S. and there's an associated front which extends into the Caribbean. So across parts of the southern Bahamas, Cuba, even near the Cayman Islands, there's been a bit of rainfall activity in association with it. Aside from that, there's a couple cloud clusters moving in from the east under the influence of those trade winds. And then towards South America, some areas have been quite active, nothing out of the norm for the area. Zooming in more to the Caribbean, here we've got a better idea or a better look of what is happening on the infrared weather satellite. Now, in terms of rainfall activity through tomorrow afternoon, here's a look at what the Euro is forecasting. So that's our European model, and the more color we see, or the more vibrant colors we see, those yellows, oranges, reds, that is indicative of higher rainfall totals. The less of those colors we see, as we see more of those grays and the pale greens, that's indicating less rainfall activity expected. So with the influence of that frontal system, there could be some additional rain within parts of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Cuba, even towards parts of Hispaniola and the Cayman Islands. Towards Central America, especially near the Bay Islands and the parts of northern Honduras, there could be a bit of substantial rain. Things should be on the drier side for Belize, much of Mexico, Guatemala, and parts of El Salvador. As we head to Jamaica, there could be a few passing showers, especially as we head throughout this afternoon and this evening. Maybe a stray shower or so in the night. Nothing crazy going on though. San Andreas, Providencia down there, much not expected. ABC Island should remain on the dry side as per usual. As we head to northern South America, sections of Colombia, southern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana will remain active. Few passing showers for the Lesser Antilles, even for sections of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands as well. So it's pretty much your typical kind of weather within the Caribbean region right now. And with that frontal system, this is a look at our surface chart. Here we can see this diagonal blue line with those triangles indicating it. So it is a cold front as of now, and it's going to gradually weaken and dissipate. However, the remnants of that frontal system are going to continue moving off to the east, and models have been hinting at an airflow pressure potentially forming in association with it. So let us go ahead and take a look at that. And we're kickstarting with the Euro. So as we see these shades of greens, that is representing the moisture or the precipitation rate. So those areas where we see a lot more of these colors, densely packed shadings, indicate more rainfall activity forecast at that particular time. And there we've got the time up there. And those black squiggly lines that we see are called isobars, which adjoin areas of equal pressure. Now, let me get it out there. This is not the time of year that we really want to be worrying about tropical cyclones developing. As I've mentioned in my previous update video on Sunday, there's only been one recorded tropical cyclone in the month of March. It certainly does not mean we cannot see a recurrence of that, but it simply means that March is not really one of those off-season months where we tend to look for development. Nonetheless, let's take a look at this. I find a little bit interesting here. So as we're going to be heading through the rest of this week, going to Thursday, Friday, we can see those colors still across parts of the Northern Caribbean, which is associated with the frontal system. And then as we head into next week, notice that surge in those colors, and then eventually an area of low pressure forming. A weak airflow pressure, not seeing anything significant expected of it. Other models such as the GFS, so here we've got the run. As we're going to be heading into next week, we can see that surge in moisture expected as well, and that weak airflow pressure. The Icon model also anticipating something similar. There we've got the frontal system, those remnants loitering around parts of the Caribbean, and we see that surge in moisture as we head into next Sunday, and even going further into the early part of the week, and we see that area flow pressure pop up on this map as well. As I said, it's nothing that is very significant. I find it to be a little interesting, but even if something does try to get itself together, unfortunately, it will be offshore. And even in the early part and the late part of the season as well, the first systems are typically offshore systems, subtropical systems. We see those a lot, especially in the very early part of the hurricane season. That wasn't the case last year because, I mean, on the list of names, Beryl was the second name on the list, and it was a very devastating, record-breaking Cat 5 monster of a hurricane that traversed the Caribbean. So we just have to wait and see what's going to be happening, guys. As of now, not seeing anything significant. And with the frontal remains across parts of the Northern Caribbean and even those passing clouds, one of the things I want to get to as well is the eclipse that is coming up. I mentioned it in my update video. I made that video giving you the detailed breakdown and scientific explanation on my second channel, Weather Extras. So, one of the biggest factors in terms of viewing the eclipse would be the cloud coverage. That's really the only thing. Aside from the fact that if you're not in the Western Hemisphere, but if you're in the Western Hemisphere, if you're in the Caribbean, the Americas, you're definitely going to have a shot at seeing that lunar eclipse happening very early. Well, the peak of the eclipse will be very early Friday morning. So with those remnants of that frontal system, the cloud coverage may be an issue for some of our islands. Of course, tomorrow I'm going to be giving you more details, and also Thursday morning as we approach the eventual start of the eclipse, which will be very late Thursday night. So I'll continue to keep you guys updated as time goes by, but that is pretty much what I wanted to bring to your attention in today's update video, just giving you a general look at what's been taking place across the region, both above the surface and beneath the surface of the earth. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will get to you when I can, and remember to always be weatherwise.